What's the funniest way students have ever fought back against an unfair teacher? Our teacher, Mr. Dalton, decided bathroom breaks were destroying the sanctity of advanced biology. According to him, stepping out for 30 seconds to pee was equivalent to academic treason. His rule? Every bathroom break cost you an entire letter grade on your next exam. 2-hour lab session and you need to go? Congrats, your A just became a B. Dalton was in his 50s, pale, twitchy, always rocking the same mustard brown cardigan that smelled faintly like mothballs in despair. He adjusted his glasses every 3 seconds like his fingers were spring-loaded. The guy was obsessed with control, but we were about to control him. I discovered his weakness by accident during my presentation on cellular respiration. I said, cells need a moist environment to function properly. Dalton flinched like I'd fired a Nerf gun at his face. His pen clattered to the floor. At first I thought it was a weird coincidence, until Jamie raised his hand and asked, wouldn't moist soil conditions help with plant growth? Dalton went pale, visibly gagged, and shuffled papers just to distract himself. That's when it clicked. Our biology teacher, a man who had studied life sciences for 2 decades, was terrified of the word moist. I texted the group chat under the desk. New plan, weaponize moisture. By lunch, we were locked in. Sarah started slipping moist habitats into every assignment. Marcus submitted an essay entirely about moist membranes and cells. Even Hannah, who had spoken in class maybe 4 times her entire life, suddenly raised her hand and asked, excuse me, are we considering moist environmental factors for this experiment? Dalton's eye twitched so hard it looked like Morse code. He scanned our faces like a detective trying to sniff out a conspiracy, but we all looked innocent. He couldn't penalize us for using correct scientific vocabulary without looking insane. Each day it escalated. We kept a running tally in the group chat of how many times we could slip the word in. 5 today, 7 in second period. Marcus dropped 3 in 1 sentence. It became a full-scale operation, and then came the jackpot. Dalton asked me to help set up the new smartboard system. While he was in the supply closet, I pulled up the autocorrect settings and replaced every single synonym. Wet, damp, humid, hydrated, saturated. All of it auto-corrected to one word, moist. The trap was set. The following week, Dalton started a lecture on aquatic ecosystems. He clicked to the first slide and froze. Here we see moist environments! The smartboard screamed in bold 24-point font. Dalton blinked, adjusted his glasses, tried to fix it. Autocorrect struck again. Damp soil became moist soil. Humid conditions became moist conditions. He started muttering, that's not right. Why is it doing that? Stop doing that. The class sat there poker-faced while our teacher frantically clicked like he was losing a boss fight against Microsoft Word. Meanwhile, the board was just spitting out moist in every possible context like a demon-possessed thesaurus. Jamie leaned over and whispered, it's spreading. Dalton's forehead was shiny with sweat. His hands shook as he typed a new sentence. Hydrated cells. The board auto-corrected. Moist cells. At this point, kids in the back were biting their sleeves to keep from laughing out loud. Hannah's shoulders were shaking so hard she looked like she was seizing. Dalton finally snapped. Enough! Everyone stop using that word! Sarah raised her hand innocently. Which word, sir? He froze. He couldn't say it. The M word. Now it was over. We all knew, but it didn't stop there. Parent-teacher conferences rolled around. Jamie's mom, who happened to be a dermatologist, casually said, it's so important to keep skin moist and healthy, especially in winter. Dalton jolted like he'd been electrocuted, knocked over his coffee, and spent 10 minutes apologizing while blotting at his desk with tissues. Jamie texted us immediately. Collateral damage confirmed. Mom's in on it now. By December, Dalton was broken. He lifted the bathroom restriction quietly, without announcement. Then he taped a desperate note to the classroom door. Please use alternative terms such as hydrated or dampened. He started wearing noise-canceling headphones during presentations. If someone's PowerPoint contained weather terms, he'd physically swivel his chair around to face the wall like a man in witness protection. And then came the final blow. During our semester exam review, Dalton slipped. He said it himself. Moist soil. The room froze. 30 students stared. His face crumpled as he realized. He sighed and muttered, bathroom breaks will no longer affect anyone's grades under any circumstances. Jamie raised his hand. Sir, can we also use the word saturated again in our lab reports? Dalton just nodded weakly, forehead pressed against his desk. For the rest of the year, the man barely spoke. He communicated through scribbled notes, vague hand gestures, and defeated sighs. By spring, he retired. On his official paperwork, the reason for leaving education was listed as atmospheric sensitivities. We just called it the moist war. And yeah, victory was sweet, but definitely not moist.